Hey everyone. Okay, so we've got another solve by factoring example. So again, the key to solve by factoring is that we only have information if we have a product. We only have good information if we have a product that's equal to 0. So my first step here is going to be to add the 7 to both sides and set this thing equal to 0. And then we're hoping to factor, and 7s are nice in that they're prime, but I got kind of big numbers to mess with here, so it's doable. But remember, something you should always be checking for is a greatest common factor, and I do have one here. So I can actually factor the 7 out first. Remember, factoring the 7 out is dividing it out. When you factor something out, you're really dividing. And that leaves me with much smaller numbers to work with. So if I'm trying to figure out basically unfoil, right? What two binomials could I multiply to get r squared minus 2r plus 1? I need to divide that r squared up evenly, so I have to have an r and an r. I need to divide the 1 up, and I only have choices of 1 and 1. And then I need to pick signs. Again, the product of 1 and 1 is this number, and then I need the sum to be this number. So -1 and -1 will work as well. Product has to be 1 and sum has to be -2. You can always check this in particular. So we got our r squared and we got our 1 fairly well checked, but the inside outside is what gives you that -2r. So inside is -1r, outside is -1r. If I add that up, I get -2r. That's kind of the important check that we're looking for there. So this one is actually a perfect square trinomial. So we end up right here. Which means we actually could look at that as 3 separate factors, but it doesn't really give us extra information to set r minus 1 equal to 0 twice. It also doesn't really give us information to set 7 equal to 0. We would just conclude that that's a false statement, so we're not getting any solutions. But we can do this single r minus 1 equals 0. So that whole product is going to equal 0 if r minus 1 equals 0, which means r has to be 1. And that's a number that's easy enough that you could actually go back through and check. If we do 7 times 1, we get 7. 7 times 1 squared, we get 7. Minus 14 times 1, which is 14, plus 7. And that does, in fact, equal 0. So when you get these nice solutions, especially for a skill check, double check your answer by plugging back in. If they're messy, that's harder, but nice solutions, go for it. All right, thanks for watching.